a dozen countries. Her new novel, What a Time to Be Alive, is now out from Echo, and her journalism and essays have recently appeared in the Best American Food Writing, the New York Times Magazine, and Los Angeles Times Magazine. She also writes for film and TV. And now, here is Jade.
Thank you, Mariko. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming. So today, first, thanks for having me. This is very cool that you guys do this. I love the way that it's all set up. I didn't know that you brought in, journals and things that people could go through. And that you bring snacks. I feel like what an ideal setup. So I am really pleased to be here. Thank you. So today, I think you all have a little bit of a sense of what we're doing, but I'll just give you a quick overview. Basically, a few people submitted pitches that they are currently working on, and we are going to workshop those pitches so that they are undeniable. And so I have always felt like I learn things the best by watching other people kind of do them and figure them out. And then I can figure out how to apply that to me. So we chose everyone who submitted pitches. They were all fantastic. Do not feel like if yours was not chosen, it is not because it was poor in quality. It's because I wanted a range of topics and things that might be, really helpful to everybody. So, but if you feel like the reason you were chosen is because you were the best, then keep that in your heart too. It's always great. It's always great to think you're the best for any reason. Yeah, it is. But so we're going to, each person who submitted a pitch is going to come up. If you check your emails, you should have just gotten an email from, yeah, okay, from Sochi, and it will have the 3 pitches listed. I think it'll be helpful to just kind of have them laid out in front of you, and so that when we discuss it, you kind of have a sense of what we're talking about. And I will also just say beforehand that let's all assume that we are here working at the height of our capabilities, that we want the biggest things for each other, that we are all really ambitious. And I am going to treat all of these pitches and ideas as things that could literally be submitted anywhere. And I am going to be both tough on them and excited about them. So, perfect. Yeah. Okay. And I guess I should tell you a little bit about my credentials for doing this. That might be helpful. I was a journalist for a long time before I wrote a novel. And, I always wanted to write fiction, but I also always thought, like, how am I going to make any money in life? And when I started, journalism was a little bit more of a viable full-time career. And so that is what I did. I worked at a bunch of different magazines. I worked for a long time at a magazine called Metropolis. It's an architecture and design magazine. I wrote a lot about how we live in cities. I was also an editor at a magazine called Angelino, which still exists. It is really a magazine about how rich people should spend their money. It was ridiculous, and also it really paid all my bills. And I would say that was the magazine where I fielded a ton of pitches. And yes, are they different in tenor than most of the pitches that we are working with and that I'm assuming you guys want to be sending out there? Absolutely. But was my kind of how I worked as an editor there is very similar to how everyone works as an editor, which is that you want pieces that are perfect for your publication, that are exciting to your readers, that keep them coming back, that speak to the tone of your publication, and that are things that only this writer could have written. And so that is how we are kind of viewing the lens, or that's the lens through which we're viewing all of these pitches. And does anyone have any general questions before we start? Yes?
Email sent out with the.
Yeah.
Did you register for the course? Yeah. And I did receive a pitch submission to the response, but I didn't receive the one, I don't think, that was.
Did other people receive it?
Yes.
Yeah, so I can make that out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if anyone else didn't receive it, just raise your hand and Noriko will, okay. We'll come around and send it to you. Okay, yes,
Just to frame it, I'm sorry if I missed this. Are the
that's okay.
things all related to books to be published or like articles?
No, articles.
So it's mainly articles.
Yes, they're all three of them are article pitches.
Just wanted to know for clarification.
Yes. And we should have time at the end also, if you guys have any questions about pitching a novel or a longer nonfiction work or anything like that. I'm also happy to answer any specific questions as well. And that applies to people online as well. Okay. So let's start with Lily. Are you here? No?
I'm here. I'm on Zoom.
Okay.
Let's
Oh, Lily's online.
Sorry, yeah,
I don't think, okay.
sorry, Lily, I just messaged you.
Sorry, what?
If you can go on to the
Oh.
next person, Jade.
Yeah, that's all right.
The hybrid, the magic of hybrid.
I know.
So let's start with E.
Let's start with Eve. Eve, are you here? Okay, come on up. Yeah. Oh, and here's the one other thing that I will say about this session, which is we are also going to call upon all of you for your expertise. So you'll know when.
Yeah, so that'll help sound for people online.
Hi, Eve.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, how are you?
Good. Would you like to just read the pitch as it is? It's not that long, and then we'll all be on the same page.
Sure. I also
Uh-huh.
tweaked it after sending it in, of course.
Too late. I'm sorry. You're just
I know. So just read the one I sent.
read the one you sent. Yes.
I shortened it some, but I'll read this one. I was given your contact information when I mentioned an essay I'm writing about moving off the grid to rural Italy. I live in Los Angeles, and in 2019, I purchased an old house with a friend living in New York City. Each summer, I spend a month working on the house. I've restored each of its 3 floors, and this summer worked on the terrace. It's large and comfortable, and I've gotten to know the village regulars over the years. 2 years ago, a friendship grew into a relationship, and now I visit more frequently to spend time as a couple, taking road trips to surrounding cities and just spending more time analog in a rhythm that feels old world. In telling my story of learning to slow down and care for myself in a foreign culture, I hope to share how enriching it has been for my mental health and for relationships with family and friends. I feel I'm doing better at my job as well, having a new perspective and sense of peace. I hope you'll consider Italy House a fit for
Whatever.
Mhm.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
Credentials, no?
It's it's okay. It's yes. Okay. So first, often with an essay, often people will write it on spec first and then send it. But I do think more and more people are sending essay pitches. So yes, so let's definitely talk about this as a full pitch. And I think the big question of this is, how do we make something very personal into something that feels universal, into something that would be, because you're not pitching like a how-to of like how to build a house in Italy, right? You are pitching a personal essay for a general audience. Is that what you're?
I mean, I know I
Uh-huh.
worked as a journalist for a while and I was
Yeah.
a travel writer, so I know it
Yeah.
fit a lot of different
Mhm.
formats, but
Uh-huh.
I just wrote it up that way because I'd been working on personal essays and I was
Yeah.
trying to get better at that. But
Yeah.
I know that that's harder. Well, it used to be harder to sell. I don't know. The market keeps changing. So I'm
It does keep
Tell me,
changing. It is
should
hard to
I
sell. Look,
fit it that way, or is it better to present it differently?
let's talk about it. Let's talk about it a couple different ways. Let's talk about it as a personal essay first, because I do think that'll be kind of more universally useful for everyone. And so I think when you have something like this that is such a particular experience and you are trying to pitch it as a personal essay, the question is, how do you make it more universal? And the answer is in more details, right? But I would say that it's more emotional details. So the first question, and I'm sorry that it's 10:30 on a Saturday morning and I'm asking you this, but I would say that the first question is kind of more of a general question that I would ask you is, what scares you about writing this?
Um,
Like, what are you risking in writing this?
well, in today's climate, I don't like giving away too much personal detail in terms of like naming where the village is, drawing attention to a place that's a space of refuge and
Okay.
escape. And friends who've also bought houses in that place, like none of us really want to bring the internet to that space because the whole point is to go analog, to go off the grid. And so it's that reality TV aspect. Like to me, that I keep pulling away from, and that's why often fiction feels better, or a very like kind of anonymous nonfiction that doesn't give all the details. So that part sounds, I guess, scary to me. The rest of it, I mean, this is not my first rodeo. I've done this in another country before. So
Uh-huh.
writing about that and about the process of kind of shifting identities and all that is like the fun part to me. The emotion, the having to reflect on yourself and your behaviors and your habits and do it in another language and do it in another culture, to me is the fun part. It's also super hard. Like the friends that have moved there are not, one is taking to some of it in, a lot, like the same way I was. The other one is withdrawing. Another person similarly is withdrawing, so that it can be, and each of us are women of a similar age. And somewhat similar backgrounds. So I'm like, it's definitely not for everyone. So that can be scary for a reader, maybe is what I'm saying. I'm like, it depends on
Mhm.
what you're going for. So if somebody is excited about this as an escape hatch, which tends to be what travel
Mhm.
is for people a lot of the time, adventure, but the escape, those elements can be scary. That's my long-winded answer.
That's okay. So when you think about kind of not wanting to give more personal detail or not wanting to bring the internet to that space, what is it that feels worth it?
Well, sharing the process, the growth. So I'm a language teacher and I work at my old high school, and that's the draw for students often is
Uh-huh.
how to do that if they want to do that. Like any writer, it's always a how to, isn't it? I mean, you're always kind of sharing and wanting that conversation from your readers too about their experiences and where's the growth and where's the joy and how do we if it's not relatable, you're not going to read it. So it's getting to share
Okay.
that's again, I don't know if I just went off on too much of a tangent.
No, that's okay. We want to like pull everything out and then kind of figure out how we can distill it down,
Yeah.
and make it feel. I think that, well, okay, let me ask you this. When you're reading, and this question is actually open to everyone, when you're reading a personal essay, especially about something that is not like your exact life experience, what is it that you feel like you want to get out of it? Like, what is it that will make you feel connected to it?
Beauty, bravery. So the protagonist doesn't have to be the same age, gender,
Mhm.
racial background, but
Mhm.
the bravery, the universals of the human spirit,
Mhm.
and then the beauty, the description of
Mm.
really like descriptive writing of
Mhm.
And I do a lot of that.
Mhm.
So like I'm working on a writing right now and I was like, oh, I need to bring in more dialogue because I'm doing so much description. I'm like, but I like the beauty and it's for interiors Condé Nast. It's a submission for a competition. Like they're gonna want description, but
Yeah.
I'm always like thinking about that's what I like.
Yeah.
I'll pause so others could answer.
Yeah. I would love to hear from anyone else too. When you're reading a personal essay, what is it that, like, if you think back to ones that you've read recently, what is it that has really made you kind of like, what would you,
I'm just gonna bring that to whoever.
thank you. What would make you kind of pass something along to somebody and say, oh my God, you have to read this. It's so good. Yes.
I'm gonna bring a mic around so people online. Okay. I actually just did this because I'm reading a collection of essays right now, and I've had to read them along.
Oh, cool.
I had to do the emotional thrust because neither of these essays were anything that I identified with, particularly in terms of ethnic background or specifics of the situation. There were certain things that both of these women authors had described emotionally. In that thing, like I'm gonna cry. So it's just that finding a way to describe something indescribable, emotional.
I love that. Thank you. Anyone else? Thoughts on a recent essay? Yes. Sorry.
For me, especially right now in this time, is like finding hope in just making meaning of life in general. Like if an essay can help me, like whatever is instigating someone to change, to move abroad or to buy a house somewhere, and then what that fulfills in life in general would be what would resonate.
I think there's something really interesting that is similar in both of those, like emotional thrust, and then what is instigating someone to move, and then what it fulfills. It's both of them are a movement, right? Like you want to read about emotional movement. And look, this is why pitches are so hard. Like, of course, when you're reading an essay, you get the whole essay to go through that and for it to build up and for you to feel it with the protagonist. But in a pitch, how do we do that? How do we get kind of the promise of that emotional thrust? And I think a big part of it is this is probably like the most elementary way to say it, but like I was down and now I'm up, right? Like how did I do that? I was down, now I'm up. This was the vehicle. And this story does, or this pitch does make me wonder kind of what was the down? Like, where are you coming from? And then, because it does tell us where you're going, it tells us kind of the journey, but it doesn't really, it hints at the idea that there is a,
And I'm realizing I left out a huge part of this, which is the word food. Because a lot of it was why I've learned Italian, why I've returned a few times. And it's not the only place I've gone to, but it's definitely, I choose food spaces where food is protected by the government. So it's clean and it makes me feel way better. And it's managed a lot of, I've had 6 abdominal surgeries in my life. And like, thankfully, very grateful. It's all little things like burst appendix or gallbladder surgery. But these are
sorry that those feel little, so that you've had so many surgeries that those feel little to you. That sounds like a lot to handle.
It's a lot, but it's also when we all have our struggles. Sure. This is not a great society for food and health, period. And it comes out in different ways. Some people don't have a struggle, but I don't know anyone that hasn't had some sort of struggle with food in America, just in terms of price and quality and feeling good in your body. So growing up in LA, just being in that kind of society. So those topics are front of mind for me. To me, that is such a different pitch because food has become the rock and roll globally of, in terms of interest in pop culture. It's like we're in like a post food, like I don't know. I lived in South America for a number of years. There was a lot of focus on on all of that, and there's the pop-ups. And so it's a totally, it's like, it gets into me. I'm
This-
talking so much. It gets into
This
another.
might be a, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's go back to the idea of finding an emotional thrust
Right.
in this. Is there something, and look, you don't necessarily have to share it with us exactly right now if that feels like a tender
I think
place,
mean,
but
anxiety, looking to be able to eat and not have it cost a lot and to feel
Mhm.
good. And these are just, that's why the mental health mention is there, but it's
Yeah.
more like kind of all of those aspects of living in New York City for many years, grinding really hard, getting just the things that I feel like a lot of us, anybody who's reading has had some experience with.
Uh-huh.
Even what was mentioned by Noriko, like the fact that looking for hope in this climate. And
Yeah.
so that's, I mean, I don't know if I'm answering your question right. Is that what you meant? Like, what have I experienced that made me
Well,
look this up?
yes, I'm sort of trying to get at, like, what is it that you can distill in this pitch that you're sending to an editor, where when they open it, they can say, okay, this writer is going to tell us kind of, where you can look at this pitch and get a sense of the arc of it,
Yeah.
right? Because I think right now I feel like, oh, this world sounds fun,
Yeah.
right? Like, this sounds exciting, but but I'm not really sure what else I'm getting. Like, I'm not really sure not even what the takeaways are. I don't operate from the idea that you need, and I get it. We are in a very, like, what are the takeaways society, but I feel like good writing is really about raising questions. I think it's really about taking a reader on a journey with you. And so to me, with this, like, form of personal essay, it's about how we signpost that journey.
Good way to say it. Signposted.
Yeah.
It's getting back to elemental living,
Mhm.
close to the earth,
Mhm.
with good food, with more time on your hands.
Yeah.
And that was what I was looking for. But I was looking to do it also with an intellectual and cultural, like a learning focus. So for me, there are many spaces in California where you can also get off the grid, slow down. I liked learning about another culture that has had a lot of history of migrations, different peoples, different cultures coming together, food, like wealth, like it's a knowledge of food that every culture has some knowledge of food, obviously, to impart, but that placed as a way station for these other. So I feel like that maybe there's a way for me to mention that.
Yeah, if there's a way that kind of writing about your own personal history of the of all the abdominal struggles, and then
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if that is what you're going for.
No, but I feel like it's such a it's like when I've done pitches, either the one for the health, the one for food, like there's, you have the different pitches depending on where you're sending it somewhat, right?
No, I get it. So look, to me, you are hinting at some real emotional turns here. There's a friendship, there's a relationship, there's the life that you used to lead and the life you lead now. And I think if it's possible to kind of hone in a little bit so that we understand kind of what the beginning of that is and then where we're going to get.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like,
personal essay, I hear you exactly. And I think the problem is I shouldn't have framed it as a personal essay.
Okay.
To remember.
Well, in that case.
That's I probably should have that as one pitch.
Yeah.
If that's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to get better at. And then I should revert back to the travel writing more.
Sure.
Right. And I need to learn those different formats better and be able to shift.
That does make sense.
Better.
Yeah. Well, I have just one more thought for you as if you are pitching it as a personal essay and pitching this sort of thing as a personal essay, which is when you talk about the beauty, and really including that, I do think that you want the essay to sound like the piece. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. So if you are picturing the piece as something that is going to have a lot of really lush, beautiful descriptions of food, of place, etc., you want that in there.
Yeah.
You don't want to just say it was a beautiful village. You want to, like, make it come alive for me a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that would, as a personal essay pitch, I think that would be quite helpful as well. We could talk so much about every single one, but I want to make sure that there's time for the others. So Eve, thank you so much. And do you have any last questions?
I guess I'm looking for maybe models of being able to take the same subject matter and switch them into, because I've done that before and it's been a while, and I have to get back into that because I used to work for magazines. So my question is around, do you, I guess, you know, as a group or do you have any places that, you know, people that are able to do that well online, that where you can see an example, a model of, you know, of one format for personal essay, another format for magazines of, you know, women's health, another one for more like a Cosmo or whatever, you know, like looking at the same.
You mean formats of like
content.
different pitches?
And
towards-
formatting it for pitches for different type of a final product.
I see. I don't know about any resources like that, but maybe people who are, I mean, it would be nice if it existed. It definitely sounds.
Well, some people I'm sure have
Yeah,
done that and
I'm
probably
sure.
posted it.
Yeah.
I'll just keep looking for that and
Yeah.
trying to think about being real strategic, right?
Yeah. And yes, and sort of making it feel more focused to each of these.
Sure.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so
of
much for the
course.
opportunity. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. I hope it was helpful. Thank you. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions about this, about this particular pitch, about anything that came up just now?
I have a question.
Yes.
So you said pitch. I wrote pitch to the sound like the piece, but it was like make the pitch sound like.
Yeah.
But in like for even with that example, it's like you're thinking of like beautiful language. You know, how do you do that, especially with the limited amount of time and space that you know have? I mean, I guess as a writer, you should be able to do that, but like, what's your answer and response?
I think actually we're about to workshop yours, and I can actually think of a great example within your pitch. So let's talk about that. That is a great question. Let's talk about that with your pitch. We'll all remember it. We'll repeat the question, but you had another question, right? About
yes, because you had a question about a resource.
Yeah.
And Query Tracker has another webpage that's called QT Critique.
Okay.
Where writers they critique their like excerpts from the writing, and then also pitch letters and query letters. So that's a resource.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of Query Tracker.
Yes.
I think what
Thank
I'm noticing from the questions you were asking
Yes.
while you were trying to bring something out is that with personal essay practice, when you're delivering a pitch, you should feel like you're telling something risky, like you're putting some personal, like yourself on the line by telling this story.
Yeah. I do think if we are being kind of callous in like, how do we sell this? That is, but like, I know it feels a little sort of dirty to be like, well, how do you sell it? But also, what do you want to read? You know, I think you don't want to read something that is just a simple description, right? You don't want to read something that's just someone like that. It could have just been like a nice letter to your mom about a fun thing you did, you know?
Safe, like,
Yeah, you don't really want to read something that's super safe. You want to read something where it's like you went on a journey with the person. And I do think that asking yourself what it is that you're risking and what you're willing to risk is like a very helpful signpost in a personal essay. Yeah.
It also reminds me of, I'm reading this book, Story Genius. It's
Uh-huh.
Lisa Cron.
Okay.
And she has a good thing. It's about fiction, but it's about developing the internal art. Focus on the external things happening, the village you're in, the beautiful food, all these things. But you're kind of pointing to that. And I think it actually is really nice because you can take novel and fiction
Definitely
and put them onto your personal pieces.
Yeah.
So just it's called Story Genius.
Yeah, people like that book. I feel like yeah, I do think that's a great way to think about character arc as well. Like, what are they risking to become who they are? Yes.
I would think building on that part of what I would imagine if you already have some of that in there. If I live in a place people vacation and I still need to like get away. And that's like people come to LA and like, oh, I can't imagine like living here. It's like, yes, if you live here, you know that like every once in a while you need to go somewhere to touch grass and to like be not in like a city. And I think that is like part of your journey in that as well. It's like I live in Los Angeles, and then it like keeps going. And it's like, yeah, sometimes I need to be. So I know that was it.
Any other? Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it.
Okay. Sorry, everyone online.
It occurs to me as we're listening to these pitches, and maybe this is something that can be further discussed, that it's kind of not dissimilar to a cover letter when you're applying for a job.
Mm-hmm.
With a cover letter, though, it's like you got to grab them immediately. Otherwise, it's like on to the next. So I just didn't know if there's that element to a pitch too, like something to focus on to make sure after they read the first sentence that they're like, like when you talk about the lush stuff, that balance of like not getting too wordy, but making sure you're grabbing their attention and showing how you're different or why they should pay attention.
Yeah, I mean, I think a great practice for pitching, and I think this is honestly a great practice for anything that you're writing. It's a real Hollywood thing. There's a lot of writing lessons that are very useful from the world of film and TV. It is just to write a log line for yourself. And, and a log line is just like a one sentence. It's not really, I wouldn't describe it exactly as a summary of what you're doing. I would describe it as a sort of like tracking the movement of what you're doing. So a log line wouldn't just be, I bought a house in Italy. It would be, I bought a house in Italy and it changed me from an anxious LA mess to an Italian diva or something like that. I mean, sorry, that's ridiculous, but you see the difference there. You see kind of the movement there. Yeah. And I think when you do that for yourself, it really clarifies what it is that you are doing. I think so many, it's in a way it's impossible to teach writing. All you can do is do more of it and read more. But I think there are a lot of tips on how to clarify your thinking and your intention that are really helpful when you're writing. So
So I came to this because I am not experienced with pitching at all. So and I wasn't even clear that this was specifically pitching for essays to be published in journals and magazines. So forgive the naivete of this question, but about how long should it even be?
Because good question.
Sentences and short paragraph. Is that typical? Is that preferred?
I think I would generally go if it's an editor who you don't have, a relationship with, I would go a very brief paragraph that's essentially a log line, and that then has a why this publication, like why am I pitching this to you at all? Then I would have kind of the pitch itself, which would just be boom, 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 the story, like the overview of the story, written in a voice that I will be using for the story itself. And then I would have a why me, basically, that is kind of any special access that I have, and look, if the thing is, if you're pitching something like, a conversation with someone who's been a total recluse for the past 30 years, then you lead with that, then you lead with the why me. I found him in the forest, but for a general thing that is not going to be that, I would put the kind of what is my access, what is my interest, etc. at the bottom. So something that would fit on a one-page letter. Yeah, Yeah. And then if there is, there will be things where there's like a lot of specialized info or something like that. I would put that under, I would just write that like short letter, like have the sign off and then say additional info. And then they can scan that or not. But yeah, no one wants to open something up and be faced with like a block of text. Yeah. Okay. Janice, are you ready?
Yeah.
Come on up.
Mentally rewriting while you're.
Okay. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. So you do have a real focus for this pitch, which is the LA Times Image magazine.
Yes.
Yes, which I'm a real fan of.
Yes.
So great. If anyone doesn't read it, you definitely should. It is great to have a glossy magazine actually focus on our hometown without it only being about like dumb shit you can buy in Beverly Hills. So yeah. Okay, so Janice, would you like to, it is a little longer, so why don't you, let's read the first paragraph and then.
Okay. So
yes,
I'll just say that I referred to a recent article and it was in
okay,
image, but I made it general because I might
change it up. Yeah.
Change it up. Okay.
So you can give us the detail of it if it's easy, but yeah.
Okay. So my name is Janice Miller and I'm a writer and researcher from Compton. I really enjoyed reading X writer's recent article on Artist X, where the artist shared, "I hope the world begins to recognize Compton has given us more than just rap music. Many do not recognize or know the significant lineage of Compton arts and artists that predate and precipitated rap, or that Compton artists represented on a global stage decades before NWA mobbed on the scene. I'd like to further change this narrative and write a 1,000 to 1,500 word story about the Compton artists who perform at what is called the Pan-African Olympics of Culture on the occasion of the event's 50th anniversary."
Let's just, well, you keep reading.
Okay. February 2027 marks 50 years since the historic Second World Black and African Festival of Arts and Culture, or FESTAC 77. FESTAC gathered over 17,000 Black artists from around the world, including superstars Stevie Wonder, Miriam Makeba, and the late Betty Saar, for concerts, performances, exhibitions, and lectures in Lagos, Nigeria, from January 15th to February 12, 1977. Amongst them, theater performers, jazz musicians, and other artists from Compton brought their talents to this global stage, including several young musicians fresh out of Compton High School who played behind Stevie Wonder during his packed out stadium performance. Read the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I know it's a little long, but I feel like it helped. Yeah, it gives us a sense of the.
These artists returned to Compton with renewed fervor for their art and city. One continued to play gigs while nurturing future artists as a professor in music production and curriculum advisor to the newly minted Compton High School, in addition to mentoring an up-and-coming rapper named Kendrick Lamar. Another became a board member of a local theater and continues to stage and direct plays in the area. Artist X's story shows the portrait of an artist as a young person making waves at the beginning of their career. This story reveals how artists evolved into elders who made way for their art and for the future artists who come behind them.
And then Janice gives her credentials. Yeah, and yes, you have access, which is great. Okay, so tell me first, kind of emotionally, what is it that's driving you? Like, what do you feel connected to? What makes you want to write this?
I think, there's no, I am not necessarily in it, like in terms of
Sure.
But I am from Compton, and knowing that artists from Compton were a part of this really important festival so many years ago is really informative and insightful to me. It makes me proud to know that, Compton is really a place of the arts, not just rap music, but all types of art, so much so that these artists were invited to be a part of this major event. And I feel like I should know this. And I feel like other people should know this. And I know that and this is just a side note, I've read an article, it was like an interview of Kendrick Lamar, and he literally says, like, people from where I'm from don't dream of Africa. And I'm like, there was a group of us who actually went to Africa. And so he doesn't know, I guess, that history. Or, I understand what he's saying, like in this context, like this is a history that we should know. And, if we knew it, how much more we might think of ourselves. And especially a place like Compton where the narrative is, a single narrative. So.
When did you first learn about Festech?
I first learned about,
which is the festival itself.
Actually from these artists. I've been doing an oral history project on with Compton artists. So I first learned about it from them.
And was there something in the way they talked about it that made you feel like, because I will admit, I don't know about it. Like I haven't heard about it. Do people generally know about it? Is this something people are familiar with? Okay, one person. So, and you weren't familiar with it before, right? So I think part of the thing that you do need to sell here is like, why are we excited about it being the 50th anniversary of this festival? And I think you might be able to find that in kind of what did they say about it? Because I'm guessing that the way they talked about it is what kind of like got you in.
Yeah, definitely.
It
was life-changing for them,
Yeah. Is there a moment when you were talking to them where, like, is there some sort of anecdote that you can think of where you were talking to one of those artists and they told you about it being life-changing in some way that like really sticks with you?
Yes, a couple of things. I mean, the story about how they ended up playing for Stevie Wonder.
How did they?
They actually, so this group, it was two groups. It was like a theater group and it was like a jazz group. And the jazz group, they ended up just like the way that the space was, because it was so many artists around each other, like, they'll just gather together and like just vibe, like play their instruments. And so I think they were doing that with the Sun Ra orchestra. And then they were in this space and it turned out Stevie Wonder needed some musicians. And so that's how they got to do that. And there's a photo of Stevie Wonder with them in the background. Like, we know who Stevie Wonder is, but the story is we don't know who the musicians in the background are.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Especially that they're like from Compton High School. That is so cool. So what I'm kind of trying to get, so the way that you've presented it right now is totally interesting. Like I read this and I'm like, oh, tell me more. Like, what is this? What's happening here? But I will say it does feel a little bit like a history lesson, like you're wanting to tell us the history of it. And it's not that that's bad. It's just that that's not what Image does, right? So how do we turn something that could just be a history lesson? Because I feel like you can do that with this piece. Like we can turn this from a history lesson to something that feels like important, a story that's important to be told now. And so the question is, how do we do that, right? And I think that it kind of lies in this third paragraph of these artists returned to Compton with renewed fervor for their art and city. One was a curriculum advisor, one mentored an up-and-coming rapper named Kendrick Lamar. I think ways that you can kind of connect that past to our present are really important in a pitch like this, right? And look, I don't know exactly how, but I would say that you do have some hints of it here. And I would also say, don't bury your sexiest things. Like we know Kendrick Lamar is the sexiest part of this right now, you know, put it on top. Like that is fine. This is a pitch. You're selling something. It's not, this is not like your kind of artistic presentation of it. So yeah, I would say just as a general tip, yes.
I was just gonna say the quote that you said that Kendrick, like you have a quote in that first paragraph from the person who wrote that original article. But even just saying, like, if Kendrick doesn't know about this and he's from Compton and he's like,
and his professor or whoever, his teacher was there,
right,
then
like, how can we crack this open? How can we make sure that on the 50th anniversary, the world, including Kendrick and you, the reader, know about it?
I think also, so in terms of your question about, you know, how you kind of put your voice in there, I think that, I mean, look, I don't know what your like article writing voice is, but if I were writing this and this second paragraph where I'm kind of explaining like what Festac is, I might start it like Stevie Wonder, Miriam Makeba, even Betty Starr, who we miss. You know, they were all there 50 years ago, Lagos, Nigeria. And then maybe a quote from a publication or something at the time that was like, that is a little bit outrageous. You know, and so it's still, do you see what I mean? It's like you have all the information still, but you've kind of presented it in a voice as opposed to presenting it as just information. There's a thing that people say in fiction, which is that all description is character. So, you know, the way that any setting is described, it is, people also say all description is action. People say all kinds of things, but the point is that any information that we're giving, it does double duty, right? It gives you a sense of what the world of this article is. And yeah, so I don't know if that is helpful for that question or if you have any follow-ups.
I can probably, I don't know if it was a quote, but I do know that no mainstream outlets covered it, but like the only outlet, like only American outlet to cover it, well, large American outlet was Ebony magazine.
Okay.
So I can probably find a quote, but I do know like that little fact that like.
But I think that's very interesting because I was going to ask you what the relationship was between like the US and like Nigeria at the time and then like LA and Lagos at the time. You know, was there a cultural exchange? Was there awareness? How has that changed? I think having a little, like anything that you can do to bolster this sense of why is this history alive? Why does this history reverberate? You know, I feel like that is kind of what we need to find. Like there's an urgent question in back. Yes. Yeah.
There's a podcast I just sent it to you, Denise, that's about bigger questions of the disconnect, the strategic disconnect from, you know, what the greater diaspora and also specifically community in the US from not having those connections easily with Africa where they should be more natural, and it's the strategic racism involved. There's a podcast that Santi Gold just did, I think it's like 6 months to a year old, with one of Fairlip Lati's sons, I think he pronounced his name Sean Kuki, and I listened to it just a few weeks ago and I was like, this is so amazing. I sent this to people and it's the same topic. They're in Lagos, they're talking about connection with music artists, and so I just sent it to you and I'm gonna stop talking, but it's a greater question.
Cool. Thank you. And then yeah, you also had a
segue, but when you were describing your sort of impetus for even wanting to cover this, you referred to Kendrick saying something along the lines of people where I'm from don't dream of Africa. And my producer brain, because that's my day job, is I work in show business as a writer and producer, like, that's your log line, or something to that effect, like, Kendrick Lamar once said, "People where I'm from don't dream of Africa," but that's actually not true. And then you kind of start to spool out what you actually want to discuss, because I think this article is really interesting because of one, the destination, it's going to an outlet of the LA Times, so you already have an audience who's invested on a very specific level in this topic, potentially. And, you know, people think Compton, they think Kendrick, and they think Dre, Dr. Dre, you know, Compton is much bigger than that. And you're going to show us why this piece. So I feel like you have so much rich stuff there that you can put something really quickly in just that kind of little block on the paragraph.
And I know we're kind of running out of time here, but no, wait, hold on. But I do have one more thought for you, which is, you know, I think a lot of times we come at a story or an essay or something with a sort of like a higher goal of, I think it's important for people to know about this. And that is fine, right? Like, I totally understand. It makes sense that that would drive you, but the pitch needs to be about the story you have to tell, right? And the story that you've kind of set up here is how it changed these artists who went. And that's an interesting story, you know, and that's a story that can pull in so much of history. It can pull in so much about how Compton has changed in the past 50 years. You know, it's a very kind of resonant story that can bolster your underlying goal. But I think when we, like, I would just advise against having the goal be the pitch. Does that make sense? Like, have the story be the pitch as opposed to the goal being the pitch. Yeah. You can like get the goal in there for sure, but.
Yeah, I mean, I've pitched before, rejectedly pitched. And that's everything that's coming up is like what I struggle with. So I do appreciate this process. Like, I have a version of a different pitch that wasn't accepted, or I do start with like names, like you mentioned. And so I think for me, it's like, I'm interested in this clearly. My challenge is like, how I'm not sure. I know one person is interested in this. How do I make everybody else interested? That's what I struggle with. I'm not sure what their motivation or where they're coming from. Like, I know what she's already familiar. Yeah. But everyone else is.
I think everyone is, I think honestly, everyone is everything is interesting. Like, that is why journalism exists. The world is very interesting. It's why we read each other's stories. But I do think that it's a particular story that draws people in, that makes them interested. I think that's why I like that story that you just told us of like the young Compton like high school graduates jamming on stage with Sun Ra and then getting called to play with Stevie Wonder. I'll always remember that. I want to see that picture, you know, and that's a story. And
also the story of why it was erased. To me, that's a huge part of the story. Like, not just the why, but maybe the how, or maybe the how that impacted the artist or those people who had that beautiful experience, and then no one knows about it. For me, that's the LA part of the story. Why don't we know about it? I know that was great. That's fine.
I mean, if there is a particular like that, it's not that that's not interesting. It totally is, but that becomes a story if you have some sort of like evidence that no one knows. If there's an editor who killed a story about it, if there's, you know, if there's like a documentary that was being made and someone canned it, like, yes, that could definitely be an interesting part of that story as well. Yes.
I think it's really interesting how learning a history of something can change the way you think about yourself and the way the way the whole community thinks about itself. I could find that like an interesting personal essay, because when I learn anything about my past that like challenges the way I think about my place in the world, I think that's really powerful, and I want to read about that regardless of the community.
Yeah.
And if I'm part of it or not. So I think that's kind of a universal thing happening, perhaps.
Yeah, that is actually just knowing Image. I do know that they enjoy a sort of like essay about a community. you know, and it is definitely, you could definitely look at this as being kind of a little bit more along those lines as well. Any other thoughts, ideas?
I feel like your essay here is so strong and compelling. I don't feel like you need the other references to the other articles as much. Like that feels like it's taking up more space. And we should be hearing, I mean, I really loved the idea of like the Africa quote and then the names quickly and just diving into what you have to tell. I don't think you need those other pieces, but I think as writers, we often are like justifying to ourselves, to the publication, why we belong there. And I think your pitch or your ideas here are so strong that keep those at the heart.
And the fact that you are working on this oral history, this archive, like that is a big argument for like why you know. Yeah. Any other?
I have a question. Oh.
Here, let's do hers and then we'll yeah.
Yes, it was kind of going off a little bit what was said about a community, but I feel like the why now and the cultural impact now is a lot of people are looking at diaspora, looking at lineage, ancestral roots. Not that everyone from Compton had specific roots there, but there could be something tied in with that. Maybe if you find the people that felt more connected or they knew maybe that they had roots that tie there, that could be an interesting angle as people are sort of recreating what they can of ancestry. And I know it's even harder in Black and African American communities to do that. So that could be a point.
And do you have another question? We have really similar handwriting.
It's getting to the point where I'm like, what is it?
Yeah, I know. I recognize that in your eyes, and I do that too. So, yeah.
Okay, so I had a question, like, as an editor, when you're reading a pitch, how much of it are you actually reading? How are you receiving it? What are you like?
Interesting question. Okay,
I'm pitching often to like, I don't even know. We're not. I can find the editor, but like, what are you like inundated? Do you have coffee? Is it first in the morning? Is it like that? I feel like that gives me a sense of how,
I mean, I would say everyone's different, but in general, when I was doing this as an editor, I would probably get like 5 to 10 pitches a day in my inbox. And then the way that I was also working for a monthly, so there's a lot more time. When you're pitching to a weekly or a daily, I do think people are just like, bam, 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 you know, like you're not catching me in the first word, see you later. A monthly, you know, it's a slower schedule. So you have a little more time. I would always read the whole pitch, but I will say that if I wasn't interested in the first paragraph, the second paragraph was going to have to do a lot to get me more interested. Like, put your good stuff up top. Do not kind of feel like you're easing people in or anything like that. And you don't, I think like sometimes we think we need so many formalities and you really don't. Like, I don't care how you found me. You know, I just think most editors don't care. It's not, I don't think that's universal. There probably is the occasional person who has an ego that wants to be stroked, who wants to be told, like, I admire your work so much first, you know. I don't think you even want to work for that person. So, you know, but I think I also want to know that you're pitching me something that you have really thought about. So I want to know that I can trust you as a writer, and you're giving me something that is really clear and cogent, where I feel like, here's a story. And I might say, oh, wait, what about this other story? You're convincing me that you are a person who's smart, who asks questions and thinks about things, and who can present things clearly. If you are all those things, and I'm interested in your topic, but I'm interested in a different angle, I'm still interested in you. You know, I might say like, oh, would you consider like talking to these people instead, or writing this as more of a how-to, or whatever, some other thing. And I'm trying to think of anything else that might be helpful. I really think you do not feel like you have to just stick to regular paragraphs. Like, you can give me a list, easier to read, you know? You can, if there's a part that is just like pure history or facts or whatever, you can give me an asterisk and say like more facts below. You know, you don't it does not have to be a kind of like 5-paragraph letter. Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else that
the title of the email?
Oh, I think that's really hard. Yeah.
No worries.
No, I mean, let's talk about it. I think it's a hard thing to write. Yeah.
When I was just rereading the
Yeah.
Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria doesn't come until like the bottom of the second paragraph. It's so maybe like when Condon came to Nigeria or something at like pitch, and then that, or just pitch to be in the email.
I would put the word pitch in the email. I think that I just think like be upfront about what you're doing, you know? And yeah, I think generally what I have done and what I saw a lot was just the word pitch in caps as like the beginning of the subject line. And then, you know, I'm just thinking it might like I would say rather than if you thought of kind of the most like catchy and mysterious title in the world, sure, say pitch and then use that as a title. But I would say just it kind of makes more sense to either be more informative or to ask an interesting question. Like why have we all forgotten this festival? You know, like that could be an interesting question. Yeah. And but I do that like in the time when I was pitching a lot, I will say that the subject lines always gave me the most kind of angst, where I felt like, what should it be? This is, yeah, yes.
I think there's something to be said for the fact that it is an anniversary year too.
Definitely.
Anniversaries. And I think with all the other ideas, keep that in mind as the pitch, because one, it immediately gives urgency because they know there's only a timeline where that can be celebrated, right? So just a 2 cents thing to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. I could totally see something like 50 years ago, 100 Compton artists went to Nigeria. Why don't we remember? Or something, you know, something like that, where you kind of like get the urgency of it and the mystery of it or question of it in there. Yes.
Debate and different ideas about it, just for pitches in general. But for this one, for example, if there was an image from that accompanying the pitch, and like I keep saying, no, just keep it without images. But when I've sent stuff and included an image or a link to a video, it seems to help.
Yeah, I think it's great to send an image. Yes, totally. Make sure you're not sending. Make sure be a little tech savvy. Make sure you're not sending something that's like enormous that'll take so long to open. You know. Yeah,
I will say, I mean, just from my point of view, I would avoid or not. I don't want to say, oh, no one has ever heard of this. I know people who have heard of it, so I want to be, you know, respectful of like,
yeah,
the many people who have, but there are a lot of people who I'm sure, I'm certain haven't. So I want to, even in my language, be respectful of all the people who have while I'm introducing it to people who haven't.
I think that is for the article. I think in the pitch,
no one has ever heard of this.
It's fun. I mean, no, I don't think you need to say no one has ever heard of it. Yeah. Why haven't more people heard of it? That is a yeah. Exactly. Jenny, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm excited for you.
So much work to do.
Oh, I'm sorry. What I will defer to you guys time wise. Yeah. Lily, we're sorry.
Yeah, so maybe like a last Q&A and then we'll have a
Yeah, absolutely. So truly any questions you have about, I'll try to answer anything.
So I have a writing mentor and one of her students submitted the same article 3 separate times with 3 separate pitches and finally got into Modern Love New York Times for the same article.
Okay.
So I wonder what you think about that in your experience as an editor. Have you ever received or
the same
wind of or realized you were getting pitched the same article twice? Would you say maybe just take the loss and move on to another publication?
I mean, I think Modern Love is, it's a unicorn, right? Like it is its own industry at this point. So I think what applies to Modern Love does not apply to everything else. I think that, it's sort of also like I think submitting to Modern Love is kind of like playing a slot machine, and it can pay off like a slot machine. Let's be honest. And so I would say if someone wants to keep on varying their approach and submitting there in particular, right off the top of my head, I can't think of any other columns like that are open submission and insanely popular, but I think why not? Like, clearly this is a good example that it works. I think that if you're submitting to other things, I would say no, don't like come back in a different trench coat and like submit the same thing. I would say instead maybe try to build a relationship with that editor. Like if you've read something else in their publication that you really like, if it's a publication you really want to write for, then I would say try to build a relationship with them. Or I do think you can go back with something and just kind of inquire about a different angle. And I would say make that angle like markedly different. Maybe there's some new information that's come to light. Maybe you've had a new experience. I think you can go back with things like that. Yeah. Yes.
I have a question about money.
Yes.
So let's say you actually sell, I assume it would vary potentially wildly.
Yeah.
Is offensively low or it's fair?
Oh, that's a great question. There are so many online resources actually where people will share what the average payments are for something. I think you can also ask, like, is this a set rate? Do you have a universal writer rate? You can ask. I really advocate for being extremely upfront about money. Definitely like not starting, and of course it's different with like a small journal, like things like that, right? Like that's a different, but if we're talking a for-profit publication, they're there to make money and you're there to make money from them. And you're there to tell a good story and to write something wonderful. But, the money part is an undeniable part of it. I think like be really clear about what your rate is. I think also ask other people who have written for that publication. I really do think that we need to share financial information. I think that you know, I think it is an important, and it's not a radical act, but it is kind of a radical act, you know? Yeah. Yes.
Thank you so much, Jade.
Yeah.
This has been so great.
Thank you. Can I just share quickly about our workshops?
Yeah.
Okay. So also, besides being a writer, I also teach a writing workshop series with my friend Ann Friedman, who you might know from her newsletter or from her defunct but much missed podcast, Call Your Girlfriend. We teach under a name, the Midwives of Invention, and we have a bunch of workshops coming up. There's some short-term ones that are just diving into like a particular tool. And then there's a longer one that is designed for writers with day jobs. And we like to call it 5 to 9, you know, what you do after your 9 to 5. And we actually have a discount code for you guys for that. I'll give it to you and
Great.
You can send it out. But yeah, we love teaching those workshops, and that is kind of how I came to be here. So
attended a workshop with them.
Yes.
As someone who has attended a workshop with the Midwife Live Invention, I cannot recommend it highly.
Aw, thank you.
Incredible 2-day experience that I had, and I think it will be like, you sign up, you will not regret it.
Thank you. Yeah, and we have a 2-day online workshop coming up at the end of August. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And thank you. And also, I love this group. This is so fun. Like, the energy has been so fun. This is so cool. I love that you guys are all kind of advising each other.
We're very anti shortage. There is no shortage. There is a plethora.
Yeah.
It's all about abundance.
Yes, it's all about abundance. It's so
Right.
cool.
So thank you so much for sharing
Thank
your
you.
resources. Thank you to our Women Who Submit team today. Lauren, Liz, Demetria. Thank you. And me.
Yeah.
Please help us with future planning by filling out a short feedback form. Link